All right, let's stick with the NFL. And Rob G, we know the trade deadline is approaching. And Derrick Henry, the great running back for the Tennessee Titans, is on the block and maybe could be had. Rob G, fill us in with the latest.
That's right, Chris. Tony Pauline, longtime NFL reporter, wrote in his latest Insider column that there is, quote, building belief that Derrick Henry will wind up in Baltimore. Of course, Baltimore lost J.K. Dobbins to an Achilles injury week 1. Gus the Bus Edwards is just okay. And with them relying heavily on the ground game, they believe that Derrick Henry could be had if Baltimore wanted him. Before adding later that a sleeper team in the Derrick Henry sweepstakes would be the Dallas Cowboys. However, for Dallas, they would likely require Tennessee to eat a portion of that $6.2 million salary remaining for Derrick Henry.
He only has $6.2 million this year, right? That's left.
Correct.
How many years does he have left on his deal?
I can check that out for you.
Probably not much.
I think this is the last year, though.
I was going to say, yeah, okay. So he'll be a free agent in the summer. So it's basically a rental. Martin Weiss, and I know Derrick Henry has lost probably a half step, but still a phenomenal runner. One of the most dangerous in the league still. And I think if I already have Baltimore winning the AFC, but give them Derrick Henry, oh my. I think people in Kansas City would be shuddering. All right? Would be scared to death about what could become of the Baltimore Ravens. And then if he were to go to Dallas, to me, he's just what the doctor ordered in Dallas. I mean, Baltimore's running game is still very strong. Obviously, he'd make it better, but their run game is still very good. Dallas needs a run game, and I like Tony Pollard and have liked him as much as just about anybody. But without Ezekiel Elliott kind of softening up that defense, without the thunder aspect of the thunder and lightning duo, Pollard hasn't been able to be lightning. He's averaged 5 yards a carry for his career. Over that, the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. And this year now with Zeke gone, he's averaging 3.9 yards a carry. And he's not, I think it hurts him in the red zone. They need a big bruising back that they can give it to in the red zone. Obviously, Henry fits that bill. And I think he would just, make things easier on Pollard throughout the game. Now, would Pollard have to be a part of that deal? Probably not. But if so, I might be willing to do that. Pollard's dangerous outside, of running the ball, too. He obviously can catch it. So I want to keep him and have a real thunder and lightning with Derrick Henry and Tony Pollard. So I think if he were to wind up with one of those teams, I think he could potentially shift the balance of power in either conference.
I think in Dallas, he would be a great addition. In Baltimore, he is the cherry on top of a Super Bowl level Sunday. Like in Baltimore, I think because all right, what's been the rub in Baltimore the last few years? Lamar can't stay healthy. Lamar's too much of the offense. Lamar's too much of, So now they got this newer passing attack. Lamar's looking better throwing the ball than he has maybe at any time in his NFL career. You add a guy like Derrick Henry, who is the type of running back. I know that they always say like offensive line is what is really more dependent on running back success. Well, Derrick Henry's been running in the 9-man boxes essentially his entire career. Right. And every single year he's healthy, we see him rip off a 75-yard run, generally against the Jaguars on some Thursday Night Football back when those had to be division games late in the year. Remember that? You would see Derrick Henry with a Earl Thomas.
Earl Campbell.
No, Earl Thomas, former Seattle. Where would he play his last year? Was it Baltimore? Baltimore. Remember when Derrick Henry threw him to the ground? That was the last thing that Earl Thomas had in his career. That was exactly that, and then he retired. He hung him up, and that was a wrap. After that, you put Derrick Henry as the option on the read option for Lamar Jackson. Stop it. All right? That's to me, is the type of trade like the Christian McCaffrey trade for the 49ers.
Right. And these teams need to think about that too, because, a lot of them are iffy about this trade, it seems. And I think you need to look at the Niners and how much better they became when they got McCaffrey. And look, McCaffrey, wasn't changing the fortunes of the Carolina Panthers.
Absolutely
they were 1-5 with him last year. And then, don't look and say, oh, well, Henry's not doing anything for Tennessee. No, in the right system, in the right situation. And as you said, there was more of a focus on McCaffrey in Carolina because they didn't have much of a pass game. You give Derrick Henry, they can't just stuff the box and focus on him. Oh, yeah, you're right. I mean, it would be dynamic. And look, Baltimore already, while losing their best back, J.K. Dobbins, is the third best run game in the league. Give them Henry? And I agree, Lamar is throwing it well, and with a threat like Derrick Henry, I think he'd throw it even better. Would open up the passing game even more.
So, Rob G's in my ear telling me how the 49ers were dynamic prior to trading for McCaffrey with Raheem Mostert and so on. But you
not
see,
this dynamic.
Exactly. But the thing is, too, at the time, there was a bunch of people who were like, that's, a whole bunch of, no shade to our former guest, Sam Monson, who was just on earlier today, a bunch of PFF nerds who were like, wait a minute, are you really going to trade a second-round pick, a third-round pick, and 2 fourths for a running back? Oh, my goodness. Yeah, and you know what he did? He scored 15 touchdowns in a row. Right. You know what I mean? Right. It's like, a running back in the right scenario, in the right system, just might be the last thing that you really need. And, that is exactly what the doctor ordered in Baltimore. Again, you said, lost J.K. Dobbins to the Achilles. But this is a team, we saw it just last week. Detroit is a good team. All right?
Yeah.
I don't know what the rest of the season will hold out, but honestly, they got an inside track at the 1 seed in the NFC, and they went down to Baltimore and got their heads kicked in, right? Every game's not going to be like that. And when you look at the rest of the AFC, and teams you're going to have to beat if you want to be at the top of the mountain when it's all said and done, you want to hold on to the ball when you're playing a guy like Patrick Mahomes, right? You'd rather see Jacksonville's defense than their offense. You'd rather see Kansas City's defense than their offense. These teams that people are thinking could contend around the top of the AFC, right? Derrick Henry allows you to stay on the field offensively for a longer time and not just need to be one of these quick strike offenses.
Right.
Even though we know that Lamar Jackson can hit a home run almost every time he steps onto the field, no matter where he's at, because he's one of the best athletes on the field.
The run game is still incredibly valuable to an offense. We talked about it earlier with Josh Allen. If they utilize the run game more, and they have some games this year, and it's paid dividends for them. But if they did that, and also it's obviously key to complementary football because, as you said, a strong running game can increase your time of possession, keep your defense on the sideline and rested. Now, the thing is this, and, people obviously around the league want to belittle the importance of the running back. Like I said, the importance is there. The issue is this, Martin, and I agree with you. Derrick Henry's one of those few outliers. But outside of him and McCaffrey, because he's so versatile, Nick Chubb is great. Cleveland hasn't really missed a beat. Raheem Mostert, you mentioned him with San Francisco, not highly touted, helped them get to the Super Bowl as part of a group of running backs. And now you see he's having a great season in Miami. That's the feeling is that I can get a good running back anywhere, right? Philadelphia let Miles Sanders go. DeAndre Swift steps in. They don't miss a beat. Isaiah Pacheco, a 7th-round pick, has displaced Clyde Edwards-Helaire, a 1st-round pick, in Kansas City. So that's what's hurting backs. I still think they need to get their due because in certain instances, that's who the fans are going to see, right? They're going to see Derrick Henry. They're going to see McCaffrey. They were going to see Nick Chubb. You know, some of these guys are the draw. In New York, they're going to see Saquon Barkley. They're not going to see anybody else on that team. Mm-hmm. And so they should get paid. But we do have to admit, you can find, if you got a decent offensive line that can run block, there are a lot of really good running backs out there.
But the thing
look at Achane in Miami, averaged 12 yards a carry.
But the
people didn't even know where he came from.
Texas A&M. But the thing about this, Chris, it's like the center position in the NBA. Has it been devalued? Sure. But if you got one of them ones, the top of the class, king of the hill, you got Embiid, you got Jokic, you going to pay that tax.
Giannis, right.
You're going to pay that tax on Giannis, okay? You're going to pay that tax on Embiid. You're going to pay that tax on Jokic. Hell, you might just pay that tax on a Bam Adebayo, right? Because if you got one of them ones, like, that can take you over the top. That's what you see consistently. You're going to pay that tax on Anthony Davis, even though he's up and down. Because you know, when he's up, he can win you a game. Ain't nobody mistaking Miles Sanders or Raheem Mostert for the top of the class. You know, are they good? Absolutely. Not trying to knock
production, but I hear you.
But
that's the thing. Derrick Henry is one of those few.
It's guys who can overcome. Like you talk about, if you have a good offensive line, well, the list of teams that can say that is probably like 10 out of the 32 in the NFL that have that feel really great about all the 5 hog mollies they got in front of running backs blocking for them. So that's where I land on it. It's like some guys overcome mistakes. Like y'all been talking about Justin Herbert the last week or so because he doesn't overcome anything. Right? He's great. But he doesn't.
A lot to overcome.
He does not overcome.
But I hear you.
Guys like, huh?
He has a lot to overcome, but I hear you.